Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to today's call. It's Joe Troyer, and I should have a special guest with me here, Rob Warner. Hey, Rob, you there?
Hey Joe, how are we doing?
Doing good, doing good. What time is it in the UK?
It's 7 o'clock and it's just getting dark now. It's been a good day today.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, fantastic, good stuff. So, guys, we're excited to be here today, really talking about the coronavirus outbreak, and really wanted to give kind of an official agency State of the Union address. So, lots of people talking about COVID-19, obviously, and the outbreak. But I see a lot of our customers coming into support, and with chatting with a lot of them, needing help, needing a little guiding hand, needing a vision for the future and where they're going. And so that's what today is all about. So there's no pitch, there's nothing to buy. We're just here to support you guys. So we'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. For those of you guys on the line early, if you have a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat, and maybe we can get that answered here real quick before we officially get underway and hit record.
And Joe, can I just take it from you that the answer to JK's question, which is will there be a replay, have you just answered when you said you're recording it?
Yeah. So we are recording it, and it will be on our YouTube channel tomorrow. So I'll put that link in the chat for you, JK, and for everybody else as well. One second. Good question, JK. All right, so I went ahead and put that in the chat. So that's the link for the YouTube channel that this will be on, JK. Great question. David said, how can I reach out to my clients and say the right thing? David will be talking about that today. Definitely big part of today's topic, obviously. Fareeb says, what's the best type of business to go after during this COVID-19 time? Rob, I think that's a great question and can kind of segue and get us pushed into kind of kicking off the presentation. When it comes to what type of prospects people should be thinking about right now, I'm curious for you, what comes to mind?
So for me, the kind of things that comes to mind are the people who have their lights turned on. So the people who are still providing services, those services that can be provided either that are more in demand because of COVID-19. A great example, we had a discussion internally today that we've seen a huge surge in search volume for business interruption insurance. Funnily enough, that's kind of a hot topic right now, so that's a good place to be. But anybody who has their lights on, and I would say particularly anybody who has their lights on and can provide remote services and things that have time sensitivity to them. You'll have seen us talking a lot recently about dental. Now, dental's a strange one because lots of dentists are shut, but they're still doing emergency treatment, because if you break a tooth and your mouth hurts, you want it fixing and you don't want to wait until sometime in the future when this thing's over. So things like emergencies, things that can be done remotely, and things that are likely to be a fallout from COVID-19. There are some positives and some negatives that are going to come out of this in a few weeks' time when this all comes over. But there will be financial distress, there will be financial advisors opportunities. I'm seeing people like accountants and CPAs doing really well for things like SBA loans. You know, accountants, CPAs are doing great business right now facilitating SBA loans. So, you know, my simple answer is look around you, look at what you see, and apply a little bit of common sense, and your list will naturally form itself.
Definitely, wholeheartedly agree with everything that you said. JK says, how about HVAC? So I was out on a walk. So every day I've been going for a walk twice a day just to get out of the house. And man, I saw all kinds of service-based businesses still out and about here in South Florida. HVAC companies, plumbing companies, pool cleaning companies, pest control, lawn maintenance companies. There's still lots and lots of commerce happening. I know that a bunch of our attorney clients have not stopped advertising and are still doing business. However, they've just kind of moved remote. So, I mean, there's still plenty of opportunity. Perfect. Good question, JK. All right, anybody else have a question that we might be able to answer here in the next 2 or 3 minutes? Roofing is okay. Yeah, definitely. My father's a roofer, Bill. So yeah, you hit it on the head. Roofing's okay, except for salesmen going in the house. That's definitely true. My father's roofing company, they have a backlog of roofs that they need to get done, right? Like sales is ahead of fulfillment. And ultimately right now, it's allowing their fulfillment team and the actual roofers to actually catch up because Corona hasn't really slowed them down at all, right? They're still doing roofs. Yeah, Joanne says, take a look at what's advertising on TV and radio, go after that. Water restoration companies, Leslie. I was talking with one of our sales guys, Leslie, today, and he said he's talked with a bunch of water damage companies, and they don't seem phased for the most part. In some other verticals, people are very hesitant to have phone calls, but understand, like, you know, for a restoration company, a water restoration company, you know, if you have water damage, you have a flood like we had at our house, or now 5 months ago, 6 months ago, you got to call somebody, right? I mean, there's no other option. Were you going to say something, Rob?
I just said September was when it happened. I remember it well, because I'm sure you do.
So I think that water restoration companies definitely still a great opportunity. You know, dental, we just obviously sold the dental smart pages with all of the landing page sets and that asset pack, and obviously the dentist PPC profits bundle. There's still a lot of dentists advertising, and a lot of dentists that have had a knee-jerk reaction and just stopping their advertising, I think are thinking twice as well. Rob, any thoughts on that point specifically? I know we got some good news today.
Yeah, so dentists are going through, let me just describe this more generally, and I'll circle back to dentists if I may, Joe. When something like COVID-19 happens, the reaction is very much like a bereavement. There is a sense of grief, a sense of loss that turns into anxiety and stress, and then will often sort of be hit with a bit of depression and, you know, just that sense. We know how we feel when this starts happening. It's really uncertain, difficult time, and the mood and motivation naturally goes down. But there becomes a point in that cycle when everybody kind of goes, hang on a minute, we can't just sit around watching daytime TV and feeling miserable. We've got to get on and do some business. And so once that point kicks in, and it's different for everybody and it's different for different types of businesses, then we get back on and do it, and we start finding the ways. When we thought on day one that we couldn't do anything, by day 10, you're going, okay, actually, I've been thinking about this. I might not be able to do everything I'd normally do, but there are things that I can do. And you've kind of got that sense of what happens with it. And so today we got a phone call. We had a phone call from one of our biggest dental clients on Friday. I mean, he's got multi-locations. They closed everything down on Friday, shut all their practices. Today, they're a big corporate. Their grief cycle and their decision-making cycle is pretty fast. They went, okay, we're now equipped. We're ready to open for emergencies only. Get the ads running as fast as you can. Can you get them all up by lunchtime, please? And so we had to get 13 campaigns live by lunchtime today. And it just goes to show that people, once they've gone through that mental process, can come around to the commercial reality and the need for business to go on in a safe, smart, sensible way, but business still goes on. And they're now looking for us to, well, what they're doing is they're taking the calls at home. When they get an emergency call, the dentist and assistant are going into the practice, doing all the sanitation and providing the service. So it's great. And yeah, we've seen that a few today. We've seen increased budgets in a few other clients as well.
Perfect, good stuff. Let's see. Frankie said he just signed a landscape company today for SEO. So perfect. That's a nice little win that we can use to kick off the call. Thanks for that, Frankie. All right, so let's officially kick off. So guys, today the topic is the agency coronavirus outbreak, AKA COVID-19, and the State of the Union address. And before we get right into it, need to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get started, because there are lots of new names and faces on this monthly AMA call that we run. So ultimately, I need everybody to understand that the webinar that you registered for is part of a series, and it's an Ask Me Anything series. And every month I do these. And for those of you guys that are wondering what is Digital Triggers, that is my personal brand. That's Joe Troyer's personal brand. And my goal with Digital Triggers and this monthly AMA is to just simply give more value than anyone in the marketplace, period. Right? So I do these, and people say great things about them. Like, people really, really love them. Like Matt Tarrant in the bottom right says, Joe, you're better than LSD. You've opened my mind to make more money, right? Alex says, thanks, Joe. I would say that you drop gold nuggets constantly. Don't sleep on these AMAs. So, I mean, often, guys, I will write cold emails. I will rewrite people's templates. I'll review their websites. I'll help them with their prospecting, right? We'll cover whatever questions get brought up during these AMAs. So first and foremost, know that that's what this is. That's what you're here. That's what you're a part of. And today we have the pleasure of doing something a little bit different and having my business partner here, Rob Warner from Invisible PPC, to really give us a different point of view on what's happening right now with COVID-19, and to really be able to share what we're seeing happening, right, with lots and lots of agencies and local businesses through Invisible PPC and the reach that we have at Invisible PPC. So for those of you guys that are interested in learning more about the AMA, you guys can register. You guys can ask questions at digitaltriggers.io/AMA. Know that today is not product specific, right? I won't answer product specific questions, and neither will Rob. We also won't handle any type of billing or access type of questions. Those are for the support desk, right? This is high level strategy, and this is helping each and every one of you guys on the call strategically, not with product level stuff that you guys could get right from our support team, right? Last but not least, wrapping this slide up here, if you need help from Invisible PPC, you can reach out to us via email at gethelp@invisibleppc.com. Obviously, Invisible PPC handles all PPC related products and services. And if you bought something from Invisible PPC, obviously you'll see that brand is all over, right? Again, Digital Triggers is my own personal brand of products. And if you need us for anything, or you need me for anything, you bought a product from Digital Triggers, you need product access, you have a billing question, etc., you can just hit us up at support@digitaltriggers.io. Cool, fantastic. Thanks for bearing with me. Now that we got kind of the housekeeping out of the way, we can officially dive into today's presentation. Rob, you want to get started here with COVID-19 and your choice?
I do. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind flipping the slide over, that would be super helpful.
It should be flipped over. You should see COVID-19 or COVID your choice.
I've seen the intro slide, no, just the headlines. Yay, got it.
How about now?
So, yep, got it. All good, thank you. So I don't know if you heard the expression, and I can't remember who to attribute it to, so I apologize if I'm stealing somebody. Well, I am stealing somebody else's expression without their permission or without name checking them. If somebody knows who said this first, please call me out. It's a simple quote. The problem is not the problem is the way you think about the problem. And that's kind of what we're seeing with COVID-19. And I don't want to downplay the medical, real life-changing impact this is having on people from a medical perspective. Today, we're going to keep this talk primarily business. So I want your permission to do that up front. I don't want anybody to think that by moving on from the human side of this and the suffering and the distress and sort of, the fatalities that this is causing, we're not ignoring that. We know that's real. We know it's terrible for many people, and lots of people's lives are being turned upside down by this. But I'm not an expert in those things. I can't help with any of those things. What we can talk about, though, is business impact and business outcomes from this. Now, as I said a few minutes ago, when you get a shock to a situation as we're seeing with the world going right now with this particular situation, we go through essentially a grief cycle, and you can document it. It's sort of documented how this works, where you go through grief, you go through anxiety, you go through stress, through depression. But most people come out of that on the other side, and they come out the side of it with a position to be able to become positive again. Some people don't, and those things become long-term depressions and long-term mental illnesses and problems, and that's dreadful. But we in our business need to understand that we get to choose how we react to this situation. Where are we spending our time? Are we spending our time watching news media, watching the drama, watching the crises unfold and treating it like some kind of real life soap opera? Or are we on calls like this, listening to experts, taking guidance, seeking advice, looking for ideas, opportunities, and inspiration? You choose your path, and how you come out of this current situation will depend almost entirely on the choices that you make right now. And so I would urge everybody to make choices consciously. We use the word at Invisible PPC intentional a lot. Be intentional about what you do. If you choose to fill your head with news media, that's where you're going to focus your mind. Personally, my belief is don't sit there doing nothing. Don't accept that some clients have cancelled, therefore the world has ended. Figure out an alternative, get positive, get into action, and you'll feel a ton better. So it's your call, guys. My advice, and certainly, I think, Joe, it's fair to say you and I and our team have lived and breathed this for the last couple of weeks, is we get on and we create opportunities.
100%. Me personally, just weighing in a little bit here, if I'm not occupying my brain and my headspace, right, it's going to get occupied by something else, right? I'd much rather take Rob's advice here, right? And I'd love to focus on doubling down and building a business versus focusing on the media, right? And being glued to my phone and what's happening, because that's where my head would live then. So I know for me personally that I have to kind of block it out, and I have to control where my mind lives, right? And what I'm thinking about. And for me, I just know that about myself. And I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree that you're probably similar in that type of situation.
Yeah, I find, Joe, just to add, again, following on, the way my brain is wired, the one thing that feeds me more than anything is progress. It actually doesn't even matter that much what the progress is on, but I have to see forward momentum. I have to see forward motion. And so for me personally, I try and find wins wherever I can find them, and find an action that I can take that moves me forward. Even as we have seen at Invisible PPC over the last few weeks, we've seen a whole bunch of clients cancel, and we knew it was coming, we've expected it to happen, but we're not just sat back and waited for it. We've already put things in place and we're taking steps every day. And so, that's your call. And I strongly recommend you do the thing that allows your head to function in a positive way, wherever that may be.
100% agreed. Definitely on the same page there. Fantastic. Can you see my next screen, Rob?
Still on choice at the moment.
Super strange. Maybe it's just a little delayed or something.
I think the internet is running fairly hot at the moment. We're personally seeing bandwidth issues over here. Here we go. We've got wins, not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, all right, fantastic. So I'm going to keep it out of presentation mode just because it seems like it's not like switching slides then for you guys. So I just wanted to share with you guys that I really want to share some recent wins from us just internally, because I know that there's so much doom and gloom happening. It's hard to some degree to stay positive or to have a positive outlook. So I just wanted to share some wins that have happened, like quite literally, guys, just over the last couple of days since COVID-19 has started, that I think if you need it, you need a little positive push, or you need a little push in the right direction or in a positive direction. Hopefully this will help you guys. All right. So in the top left, just starting up there, Rob Warner says, FYI, our biggest dental client who canceled last Friday just reactivated a dozen locations. And so, guys, I mean, just think about that. I mean, we're not going to talk about the exact revenue of that client, but guys, a dozen locations. I mean, you can imagine what that revenue looks like. That was a big loss, and that was a big win, them coming back. Right below that, there on the left, not a particular account, but blank said, and one of our agency partners said, none of their attorney clients are pausing for COVID. All of them are moving to phone and video consultations. So, hey, there's an opportunity for a market for some of you guys to go after, right? Attorneys, or maybe you already are. In the bottom left, then, moving on, plumbers are on freaking fire. It seems like a lot of people are throwing Lysol wipes down the drain, which has resulted in some pretty crazy things, right? If you look at this little screenshot again in the bottom left, you will see cost per conversion. That's the cost per lead, right? Dropping almost 25%. That's freaking crazy, right? Conversion rate increasing by 101%. And then the total number of conversions, or total number of leads, increasing by 87%, right? Like that's a coronavirus win if I've ever seen one. Next up in the middle there in the black screenshot, this is a screenshot from our internal Slack for our agency. So I want to say this with detail and with caution. We have an agency. What I mean by that is Rob and I own an agency, and no, not Invisible PPC. And what I mean by that is we own and run an agency just like you guys, where we go out and we sell marketing services to the local market, but we don't do it as Invisible PPC, right? We do it just like you guys do it. We throw deals over the line for Invisible to do PPC fulfillment so that we can test our own services, right? We can see how things are going, and we can play in our own little sandbox, if you will, and eat our own dog food. So one person over the last 3 working business days set 13 appointments with local business owners. So understand, again, folks, that there is plenty of opportunity, and businesses need our help more now than ever. What I will say is we had to make some slight adjustments to our scripting. We had to make some slight adjustments to our scripts in order for this to work as well as it is. And the key difference I'll share with you guys, the key difference is we're just not ignoring COVID-19, right? If you ignore it, your scripting that you've been using to get appointments probably isn't going to work anymore. Don't ignore the situation that's happening. In the top right is a little case study from one of our dashboards for one of our clients. You can see conversions there, the first little red circle up 111%, conversion rate up 124%, and the cost per lead, or cost per conversion, down 28%. In the bottom, this one's just crazy, like just green through the roof everywhere. But what I want to share with you guys is the furthest right number is the cost, right? And yeah, it's up 49%, but the cost is only $289 in spend, right? And then there's $9,678 in revenue from that $289 in spend, right? 3,347% return on ad spend. So again, folks, we are in some crazy, unprecedented times. But that doesn't mean that all is doom and gloom and all is negative on the business front. There are still opportunities to help clients or prospects. There's still opportunities to help them get more clients and at a better cost. Okay, and all the opportunity hasn't quite just dried up like so many people are talking about. I wanted to share just a real quick share that I saw from Mike Michalowicz, who's a best-selling author. I'm curious, if you know Mike Michalowicz, give me a 0 in the chat. So Mike's an author. I just had the pleasure of interviewing him on my podcast, Show Me the Nuggets. And I've read, what is it now? I've read 3 of Mike's books. So I read Profit First, Clockwork, and The Pumpkin Plan. They are phenomenal books. If you're looking for great business recommendations on books, I would highly recommend you check them out. But to be honest, little pitch for the podcast here, I would really go listen to this episode with Mike and I. And you can get it at digitaltriggers.io/podcast. So little pitch for the podcast. And the reason why is Mike did a really, really, really good job of on the podcast with me walking through each book and really giving the high level takeaways, right? The high level nuggets of each book, and really turn them into here's what you should be thinking about, here's why, and then here's like one tactic or one strategy you can go start implementing right away that'll help you see a result. And so it was just an absolutely fantastic, fantastic podcast episode. But I saw him share this little graph on the right, talking about really breaking down how you handle the recession that's coming, or the recession that people are thinking are coming, and the response. And I really loved how he broke it down into cash flow, strategic planning, debt management, accounting, and tax. And I just thought it was super well done, super timely, and worth a share. So guys, if you're on the call right now, I'd highly recommend just taking a screenshot of the current slide, and then we'll move on here. And again, the content is great, right? Under cash flow, right? Cancel no or low benefit expenses, right? Business owners cancel no or low benefit personal expenses, right? Renegotiate terms. I don't know about you guys, but I spent 15 minutes over the last week renegotiating some terms because of coronavirus, and it's been nuts. I've dropped my monthly billing, my monthly expenses, a couple $100 a month, and probably about, again, 15, maybe 20 minutes of time investment. So just some things to be thinking about. All right, so next up, guys, is we need to talk about the reality. At the end of the day, the reality is we are going through a worldwide pandemic, right? There is right now happening a market-wide drop, whether you want to think about it as an irregularity or an abnormality. But at the end of the day, irregularities and abnormalities are always temporary, right? In time, they'll fix themselves. What we don't know is how long that time is going to be, right? How long is COVID-19 and the coronavirus going to affect us like they've been affecting us right now, right? We don't know what that timeline is going to look like. But the thing is that the agencies and the marketers who last, I believe the ones who lead as well, really stand to gain all of the market share of those who fail and throw in the towel during, again, this temporary irregularity or abnormality. So in every recession, huge companies have made it, have been invented, have boomed, and have reinvented and boomed. You look at the companies like Amazon and Apple and Uber, and recessions have literally made their businesses. And at the end of the day, folks, I think the most important thing, if you could take away one thing from this call, is that clients still need your services, right? Clients still need your services. And when it all ends, when all of this ends, when all of this is over, whenever this pandemic is over, do you guys really believe that business owners' appointments, right, and their schedules just going to magically fill up from before, right? All the appointments that they had before are now going to magically come back to them? Probably not, right? Again, I really believe that clients still need your services. Marketing isn't going away. They need us now more than ever. So Rob, you want to talk about what you need to do?
I do. So I think there's a few things to do. And these are, you probably noticed a recurring theme in every time I open my mouth on this call tonight. The first thing is, don't make dumb decisions. No, don't make decisions based on panic, based on emotion, based on anxiety. And that can be a really hard thing to do when you're feeling stressed and anxious. But you need to find a way to step back. One way that I find really effective to do that is to have a conversation with somebody else, walk it through. I often find that just articulating my decisions, that my dilemma, even with somebody who doesn't understand it, actually makes it easier to come to the right decision. And ideally, look for somebody you trust with a different perspective to you, because collectively, we've all as individuals got blind spots when we make decisions. So a great thing to do before you do anything drastic, before you let employees go, before you kill off a VA who has been working for you successfully for 3 years, or you make a harsh decision with a client, and if the client asks for a discount, you say no. Think about it. Talk with somebody you respect, somebody you know, like, and trust, and preferably somebody who has a different brain mode to you. If you're an optimist, find a pessimist. If you're aggressive, find somebody who's more conservative. Together, you will see the more blind spots than if you just make that decision by yourself, because often these things can't be reversed. Or certainly not easy. I mean, it's really, if you lose a really good member of staff, how long is it going to take you to get that person, another person, retrained? Well, if it's short-term pain now, it might be worth pain-taking in the short term so you don't affect your long-term future. I would always say, make your decision. I mean, look forward for a 12-month time horizon. So think about what your ultimate goal is, and think about the short-term steps that you need to take to get to that goal, even if it means that it just gives you a metric that you're going for. Now, if you want a 10x, then today that might look like a really difficult thing to do. But if you can say, okay, what are the things that how does my decision today affect my 10x goal tomorrow? Am I going to be setting myself back? Is there a different way I can achieve my short-term objective than the path I'm thinking about going down? I'll give you an example. Let's say you're thinking about losing an employee and they're costing you $5,000 a month. I'm just making numbers up. But you know that to get to your long-term goal, that person's a key player, they've got skills that you need, they've been loyal, trained. Well, maybe you can't afford to keep them at 5,000. But to be quite honest, the job market ain't that great right now. People are not, rushing off getting headhunted other than by grocery stores, it seems right now, and health services. So say, okay, maybe you could do a deal. Maybe one of the government schemes would support you in the short term with your cash flow. Maybe they'd take a pay cut. But understand that if you take a pay cut now, get some government support, that allows you to continue on your path. Maybe they take a different way of working and go to commission, or I don't know, but think through your options, and never ever make a decision when you've only evaluated one option. Evaluate at least 3 to 5 options, brainstorm. Because if you only focus on one, you don't see the alternatives. Position yourself for success. That's kind of what I've just been talking about. It's about making decisions today that position you for future as well. And don't stop. I hear lots of places saying, oh, we're closing, we're going off grid. If you're a restaurant, then your only option is to do takeout. If you're a hotel, you're in a mess. There's nothing you can do about it if you're a hotel. None of us have that problem. We can work remotely, which is what we do most of the time. When this first broke out, and my friends from other businesses were saying, oh my goodness, anybody got a checklist? We're going to work remote. What's all the things that we need to think about? We're kind of like, we do it every day. We don't even think about it. It's just how we live our life. And I suspect for many of you, the same goes. So use that and go hard. A great question, which ties in with the last point on that slide, which was, position yourself for 10x. There's a question in the chat that said, what does doubling down actually mean? Does it mean doing twice as much as you would do normally? No, it doesn't. It means doing the right things that have impact today and towards your goal in the future. Be intentional, be deliberate, and maximize the ROI on your time and effort. That's what doubling down means, and that's how you 10x.
Great stuff. All right, so next, building buffers. Just some things to think about, right? We want to be careful during these times, right? To build up buffers, right? We want to cut monthly recurring outgoing expenses where we can, right? We want to stay on top of what we're getting billed for, what we're getting charged for, right? We want to stay on top of collections as we're billing clients, and we want to embrace that these are hard times, but don't ignore them, right? If a client doesn't pay or their credit card fails, don't just ignore it and say, oh yeah, coronavirus, I'm not going to get paid, right? Follow up with them, work on a payment plan, do a 2-pay for the month instead of just a 1-pay, right? Break it into 2 payments, make it easier for them, and you'll still be able to get paid, right? And then think about cutting deals with clients that are cash rich, right? To pay early. Okay, get them to pay, for the year and give them a discount. And some of you may laugh and go like, yeah, but who's going to pay me early and pay me for a year? And we have clients that do it all the time, right? We have clients that put it on their invoices, right? Pay for 10 or pay for 10 months, get 2 months free or something like that, and have cash rich clients pay up front for an entire year. Next up is use government support if it's available to you. So right now, obviously, we in the United States have stimulus packages being just signed and new ones being worked on. And no matter where you're at, there's most likely some type of stimulus opportunity. So Rob, I know you were talking about one from the UK just a couple days ago. I think it's when somebody gets fired, right, or you don't have enough work for them.
Yeah, so in the UK, the UK government, like the US government and many around the world, realizes that if they don't do something, whole industries are going to collapse around them. And so our government, Monday, I think it was, no, Friday night, announced that they would cover 80% of employee wages if you didn't lay off that person, but instead retained them. They have to not do work for you, so you have to genuinely be going to lay them off. But if they don't do work for you, then they will pay 80% of their wages on your behalf. Goodness knows how the detail is going to play out. Like lots of these things, the headline comes out first, the detail comes out second, sometime later. But right now we've got some, 80% is great. There are loans been put in place, and as people say, buy umbrellas in the sunshine. Well, it might not be sunny right now, but still go out and buy umbrellas if you possibly can.
That could be definitely a way to continue supporting an employee, right? As well, right? Instead of just completely firing them, not being able to pay them, it's just a short-term thing. You pay 20%, and right as this thing goes away and unfolds, right, you can bring them back on full time, and you don't lose that on ramp and that time investment that you spent getting that person up to speed. So get lines of credit or other facilities in place. But ultimately, guys, at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is just not to bury your head in the sand, right? Take action before you need to, right? And be thinking about the future is the big message, especially in all of this, but especially in building buffers, right? So how do we survive in today's market? I think now more than ever, we got to be really, really, really careful. We've gotten asked a ton of times about how do you prospect during today's climate. And I think that if you're not careful, if you're not really careful in your messaging, you come across tone deaf. And when you come across tone deaf, I think in today's market, in today's climate, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to get completely ignored, or you're going to get a big fat FU as a response, right? And what I mean by tone deaf is that people are very sensitive right now, and rightfully so, right? More than ever, people only want to listen to what they care about. Okay, so you want to speak to what prospects are concerned about right now. An example of tone deaf would be sending out a prospecting email, right, that doesn't address COVID-19, that doesn't address what's happening, that doesn't address the pandemic, and it's just acting like business as usual. That's being tone deaf, right? But if instead you change your messaging slightly, you tweak it, you update it to speak to the concerns that dentists have about COVID-19 in their practice, you're going to get a much, much better outcome, right? So you want to speak to your prospects and figure out what they are concerned about. And then ultimately, you want to align your products and services to really overcome prospects' concerns. And this really makes me think about a quote, and me and my wife say this all the time, right? When everyone zigs, zag. I really encourage you guys to really do the opposite of what everyone else is doing in your market. Be creative, create your own path, and think outside the box. Ultimately, be the best and prepare to reap the rewards. In today's market, I think you have to expect the best, you have to prepare for the worst, and you got to figure out how to capitalize on what comes. Just don't be like Homer Simpson, right? Please don't stop prospecting. This really, really concerns me in the current state of affairs. I see so many agencies and so many marketers just throwing up their hands, binge watching Netflix for like literally hours and hours or days on end, and completely changing the trajectory of their business. So please, please, please don't stop prospecting. Embrace this. So let's talk about how to still prospect and even make sales in today's climate, which is what we're doing now. Rob, you want to take this one?
Sure, absolutely. And I'm going to add a phrase into this that I heard on it was a podcast I was listening to the other day when it was Dean Jackson, Joe Polish, and Jay Abraham talking, referring to my earlier comment, how am I spending my time? I listen to smart people. They used a phrase that I think couldn't be more appropriate for the current situation, which is ethical opportunism. That means being aware of what's going on in the market today, adjusting your mindset and your marketing appropriately, but taking advantages of the opportunity that it creates in a way that is beneficial to the other people. And that's got to be key. It's got to be valuable. If you're ethical about it, there are huge opportunities right now. So Joe has already said, don't be tone deaf. Acknowledge what's going on in the world. Lean in and align your product or service as a solution for their current problems in dealing with COVID-19. We've spoken about what we're doing with dentists right now. We know they can't do implants and veneers, which are their most profitable services, but by just making them the go-to in their town for emergency patient treatments, that allows them to keep the lights on. That pays the bills. So lean in, align it, make it real, don't fake it, and you're putting yourself in the box seat. Now, billing terms. Cash can be an issue right now. So think about different ways that you can present your offer so that you can still win the client, still earn some or all of your money, but in a way that is sensitive to their needs right now as well. We've just said to everybody on this call, preserve cash. They'd been told the same most likely. So think about deals like half rate to start. Maybe you start 3 months for half price. Prove your worth, build a relationship. If that means your margins are lower, you've still got the client, it still keeps you busy. One thing that we recently used for the first time ever is something called PayPal Bill Me Later. If you Google it, it's called PayPal Credit, and it's available to most people who take payments via PayPal. Certainly in the UK and Australia, it's available to merchants in those countries. And from the buyer's point of view, it gives them, depending on the country and the deal, 4 to 6 months interest-free to make that payment. For you as a business owner, you get paid right away. So think about that. That allows you to sign somebody up and say, hey, let me come in. I will start and solve your problems today for you. I'll make a positive impact, and you don't have to pay it for 3 to 4 months, by which time you've already got massive value out of it. That's a huge offer. Not everybody's accepted, but if 50% are, that's a great place to be. Sign now, half rate for 90 days. Sign now, half rate for 90 days. You know, you can do a drop, but to a reduced specification of service. Okay, we're just going to do emergency dental for now for 3 months. Then we're going to do veneers, implants, and teeth whitening. You get the idea. But just saying half doesn't mean same service for half the price. A smaller, more focused, more appropriate service for half the price that expands in the future. You get the idea.
Somebody asked what we're doing right now. Guys, we're really doing the no payments for 90 days using PayPal Credit, or a service like PayPal Credit is the one that we're playing with right now. So just full disclosure, but there's some other options, obviously, that you guys could try as well.
Yeah, and it's working as well. It's certainly, when we said about people booking appointments, it's certainly something that helps get that call over the line.
We've gotten a lot of people that are like, I'm interested, but with COVID-19, and then we talk about how we're rolling out a special or a package for no payments for 90 days, and that's getting lots of people to book. So, all right. So leading with value while or where you can. So a lot of people have asked me, like, Joe, what prospecting scripts or angles can I use right now? And guys, there's really no limit. If you think about it, all the angles that worked before are going to work now. Again, if I were you, again, just don't be tone deaf, right? So if somebody's Google My Business hours aren't correct and they haven't addressed or updated them from COVID-19 since the outbreak happened, you can see that easily, and you can prospect and outreach to that business owner, right? Showing them how to update that or offering to update that. But don't ignore that COVID-19 has happened, right? So embrace that, talk about that. Okay, if people aren't posting on social and letting their customers and their prospects know about it, right? Lean in. Okay, use that as an angle to outreach with. Okay, if on people's website they're not talking about COVID-19 and dealing with it, when a prospect lands there, they're not going to know if the person's open or if they have social distancing as a part of their service and whether or not they should use them. At the end of the day, like, businesses can be tone deaf too, right? And if they aren't social posting, if their hours haven't adjusted, if they're not literally on the landing page that somebody lands on when they click on their website, talking about and dealing with COVID-19, they're coming off as tone deaf. So obviously we've talked about how important that is for all of you guys as agencies right now. It's just as important for local businesses. I had somebody in our private Slack group telling me about how they're doing really, really well reaching out to people with SSL issues right now. Okay, and just saying, hey, I'm sure lots of people are trying to contact you right now because of COVID-19, but when they click on your website, right, they see this error and they take a screenshot of the error in Chrome and send it to them, right? Can I help you with that? You could obviously reach out in terms of a marketing angle, talking about COVID-19 and what they should be doing. You guys should have seen the marketing pack that we put together for dentists, right? Really coming out as like a public service expert angle. Like, here's the survival guide for dentists in COVID-19. One of the cool angles that we baked in there was, and this was really Rob's doing, was like, I've sent this out to all my dental customers, but I also thought I should send it out to you. So even though they're a prospect, they're not a paying customer, right? They still see value in what you're sending them and think that you made a special exception for them. Like, that's a great marketing angle. So again, the angles are limitless. At the end of the day, find a way to help, and then don't be tone deaf, right? Embrace that COVID-19 is happening. Okay, say that you're working from home and that you have extra time, and so you're just helping local businesses. That's an excellent way to get your foot in the door, and it's believable, right? It's real.
Joe, can I just add to that as well? You can always call them and ask them as well, can't you? One thing I'd say with right now is everything needs to feel one-to-one and personal. It cannot feel mass. It can't feel like they're just one person on an email blast of 1,000. I strongly recommend at the moment sending out anything you do personally from a personal email account, from a personal phone call. So if you do say, hey, I've done this for my customers, occurred to me you might need it. Would it be helpful if I send it over to you? If not, no problem. There's no pitch, just there you go.
We got a couple of people I see in the chat asking about how PayPal credit works. So you guys get paid immediately, right? The funds, they pay those, those funds that they paid you over time through PayPal credit. Simple stuff.
Yep, super simple.
In most markets, it's 90 days at least, or up to 6 months. We've seen zero interest, but then after that, there's interest, there's fees and penalties if it doesn't get paid. But super simple service. So how can you, everybody on the call, as a marketer, as an agency, stand up and serve your local or niche community? I think at the end of the day, it's really, really simple. Like, we just got to get active. We got to double down. We just got to get out in our market. And by our market, that can be a local community, right, of people that you're helping, or that could be a specific niche or specific niches. And you just help and lead with value, right? An idea, somebody, again, in our private Slack group is running a free webinar. And I think they're going to turn it into a series for COVID-19 for a niche that they have an email list for. They have access to an email list. Okay, and you guys could help Chamber of Commerce's with this, or groups of software as a service companies that have your clients, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, etc. Everybody's panicking right now. And I saw a lot of comments from people saying that they're getting emails from people and they're being tone deaf. Now's the time, right? Lead with value. Team up with one of these people that has the customers that you want access to, and offer to run a free webinar or a series. Okay, helping them, teaching them what they should be doing during COVID-19. Like, you're gonna set yourself up as an amazing expert and to really reap the rewards now and as this COVID-19 thing goes away, whenever that timeline is. So build your reputation now as an expert, show off your leadership during this critical time. And folks, just think about, and for me, I'm always thinking about this, and everything that I do is, how can I give more than I take, right? How can I provide more value, right, than I take? All right, partnering up. Think about this too. If your service is not the best fit for a potential prospect or client right now, partner up with somebody whose service is the right fit. Okay, so Rob actually came up with this angle. Rob, you want to talk about what you were thinking here?
Yeah, so right now, let's say you're an SEO guy. If SEO is your thing, then fantastic. Problems often with SEO is it takes time to see outcomes. For some business owners in certain markets, right now, they haven't got time. They just need fast leads coming through their door, either because they're struggling or because there is an opportunity there if they're in one of the thriving markets and they want to take advantage of it. But while SEO will be a perfectly good long-term play for them, it ain't going to solve their problem tomorrow. So if you don't do PPC, then find somebody who does. Similarly, we've had exactly the opposite conversation with somebody today where we said, you know what? You're not ready to run a PPC campaign. You haven't got the budget in your market to do it. But if we start small with an SEO campaign first, we can then build a PPC campaign on the back of it. And incidentally, we don't do SEO. So we've now gone to solve that problem. So we've got an SEO offer. So think creatively. If somebody's reputation sucks, partner with somebody and solve their reputation problem. If they need map visibility on Google Maps, help them with that. Partner with somebody who does that service. And so my point is, if all you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And right now, if they're not a nail, then you're in trouble. So find the people who've got things, refer amongst each other, set up some deals, brainstorm what's good for markets, what's working well today, and share those ideas. And everybody wins as a result of that.
100%. Good stuff. I think too, every local business needs quick wins right now, right? If you're not good at, let's say, retargeting, you don't do paid media. Retargeting is an easy way to get quick wins right now, right? And we all know retargeting is uber powerful, it's uber cheap. So look for somebody that you can partner up with that does retargeting and add that to your offer right now for existing clients or for new clients so that you can get them quick wins, right? So that you can help them build their business back up to what it was. So just another idea on potentially partnering up. So next up, I want to talk to you guys about retaining customers. I'm seeing way too many people just canceling billing and canceling contracts without ever even talking with their local customer, right? With their actual customer. Understand that, or for the most part, it's in your client's best interest not to cancel. And for the most part, it's in your client's best interest to not pause, right? To not stop their business. Stopping their marketing means stopping their cash flow. We should be doing everything possible. Businesses should be doing everything possible to not stop their cash flow, right? Give me a 0 if that makes sense to everybody, right? It should seem obvious, but in today's market and climate, it's not. And so if you get a call or an email from a prospect and all that they say is, hey, Shantae, hey, Frankie, hey, Bill, please cancel my agreement with you, or please cancel my billing, I'm going to be really bold and say something right now. You're doing your client a disservice if you just take it at face value and cancel their billing. They need to know that strategically that you have their back and what you're doing to help them now. How you are adapting to COVID and how you are adapting their marketing that they're paying you for COVID-19, right? Okay, now is when most of the market is taking their foot off the gas, right? Now is the time to make up for lost opportunity. So earlier, Rob was talking about how SEO takes a long time, right? It take 90, 120 days to see real quantifiable return on investment. So if you're selling SEO right now, most of your competition in a marketplace, right? Let's talk about dental since we've been talking about dental. Most dental competitors are stopping SEO right now. Okay, if I was talking with a local dentist that was my customer and I've been doing SEO for 3 months, I'd really be talking about how we together, their dental practice and us and my relationship with them, how we can't afford to stop, right? That we're still 3 to 6 months behind the top competitors and that we need to continue to push now so that we can overtake them, right? And as the market is coming back, we can be in prime position for reopening for when COVID-19 is over. Does that make sense? Give me a 9 if that makes sense. So if you're in SEO right now, you guys can steal that exact language, right? Use it, please. Save some business for yourself and save some business, right, for the end customer that really needs you right now.
Yeah, just add to that, Joe. I mean, it strikes me, if someone just says we're cancelling, we're drowning right now, it's like turning off the oxygen. It's like you're drowning, so you're like the oxygen stopping as well. Awesome, good decision.
Yeah. So cash flow is light, and you just want to stop the marketing. You want to stop the cash from coming in. Okay.
Yeah, great. So why don't you lock the door while you're at it? Turn the lights off and tell nobody that you're in, and then see what happens.
Call the power company and just say we're done.
It's really that though, isn't it? But I think as agency owners, too often we kind of have that mindset of the client said no, therefore it's no. you have to sometimes stand up, and it's got back to authenticity and leading with value and integrity here. It has to be the right thing for the client. Don't just say cancel, keep paying me because I'm awesome and I need the money. So, okay, this bit's a problem to you today because this is costing $2,000 a month. Maybe there is a core thing that we can do that will make your cash flow situation more comfortable, but will still give you some of the most important results that you need. Maybe we can change the payment terms. Maybe we could do a PayPal credit thing, for example. So think about how you don't turn the lights off and you help them before they cancel. It's much better if you go to them and get on the front foot rather than wait for them to make the decision and cancel, because then you've got to change around their mind. Go first, lead it.
100%. In an amazing market, right, where everything's going great, unemployment rates are down, stock market's going up, everything's perfect, right? In an amazing market, you need to be marketing, right? Otherwise, how are you going to get your word out there? How are you going to take advantage of an amazing market? But in a down market, you need to be marketing as well. And I would argue that it's even more important to market than ever. Shantae Wolf in the chat says, what is the response when a prospect says, I can't afford to keep marketing? Right? In all reality, they can't afford not to keep marketing. And so, Shantae, I wouldn't come off with an attitude or come off as entitled, but they really need to understand the cause and effect of what's going to happen if they quote unquote stop marketing. And if they keep having this mindset that they can't afford to market. And there will be some people, folks, that like cash flow is so bad that this, even with how short it's been, the COVID-19 and the current conditions in the market will cause companies to go bankrupt, right? But at any cost possible, people should keep marketing, or they've quite literally, they've signed their death threat, like it's over. So one thing too is just when a client says that they want to cancel, right? Don't bill me this month. I can't afford it, whatever. Another thing is just to take control of the situation, right? To show your leadership and just ask them or propose to them to pause for 30 days instead of canceling. Even that is huge, right? And you could say, Mr. Business Owner, I'll even check in with you before that, right? I'll check in on day 29 to ensure that you're good to go and things are back on track before we actually bill you. A pause, even if you have to perpetuate it and go from 1 month pause to 2 month pause, you still retaining that client for the long term is freaking huge. So think about just the subtle difference between accepting a client's request to cancel and then moving them to a pause. That will have a dramatic effect cash flow wise on your business when this is all done and when this is all over. But just some other examples and things
Joe,
for you guys.
can I add a couple of comments to this as well when you get to an appropriate point? Just something I want to add. Well, it's circling back to something we said earlier about people's mental state and decision making during anxiety. We all know when we're stressed. Who thinks their decision? Give me a one in the chat if you think your decision making quality improves when you're in a high state of stress. Who makes better decisions when they're stressed out?
-1.
Yeah, exactly. We don't. So my comment right at the start of this was about speak to somebody about your problems, talk them through together, particularly if they've got a different perspective. That's what I was advising everybody on this call to do. Think about your client's shoes. You are that other person with a different perspective. Now, here's the thing. People are often very good at seeing what are called first-degree consequences. First-degree consequence of stopping my marketing is I keep money in my bank account. That's the first-degree consequence. Unfortunately, first-degree consequences, if I can say it, are often the least important consequence. It's what happens, the knock-on effects, the ripples of that decision that have often a far bigger impact than the actual first degree. So you look at second degree and third degree consequences. So let's think about it. What's the first degree consequence of stopping your PPC campaign? You have more money. Great. Second degree consequence, the phone stopped ringing, inquiries, flows, dries up. Third degree consequence, in 6 weeks' time, when all those jobs and inquiries would have turned into cash, your cash flow is now taking a bigger hole because that $2,000 ad spend was driving $20,000 of business a month. The third degree consequence is you're now in a bigger hole than you would have been had you found the $2,000. But people don't think about that, particularly when they're under stress. So our responsibility is to help them think at a better quality and make still the right decision for them, but make it knowing all the consequences of the decision that they're making. So that's why I just wanted to get that out there.
Very, very well said. Very, very well said. A couple things here on this slide before we move on, and we got to keep things moving. I know that we're at the top of the hour. So one of the cool things, if you've sold a client PPC and they're wanting to cancel, just kind of some things to think about, right? You're only paying for clicks. You're only paying for people that are looking for your local client. So if there's not a want, there's not a need for the business, there's no cost. So for most of you guys that have PPC campaigns, there's probably not a whole lot to do, meaning they can kind of run as is. Unless the client is completely closed for business, then they just should be paused, right? If a business is really concerned and they're taking business and you've sold them PPC, they're still open then, right? If they want, right, dial back the business if they want, right? Put the budget down, okay? But at the end of the day, what I'm seeing is the ones that can take business and are still advertising, they want lots more, okay? They realize the opportunity, they realize what's happening in the marketplace, and if anything, they're wanting to up their budget. All right, so for paused clients, obviously, if you go this route, I highly, highly suggest you do for anybody that tries to cancel is to continue to communicate with them, right? Share market updates as you see them happening, as you see wins in a market, as you see wins with your clients even during this outbreak, talk about it, right? Don't be silent, okay? Think about, right, how you could take somebody that's paused and you could reactivate them by communicating a win on a different account with them. Okay, be valuable even when you're not providing the service, right? And be in the position to restart, right? So when the client is ready, that they're going to come back to you. Think about this as a retention plan. And what can you do to really retain these customers versus them falling off? For a lot of you guys in your agencies, 3 or 4 clients canceling versus pausing would cause a dramatic night and day difference in the cash flow of your agency. So these are just some good best practices to think about and what we've been thinking about inside of our own agency. So real quick, questions. Obviously, we are at the top of the hour. Most of the questions have been answered naturally during today's training, just by going through the 20 some odd slides about Corona and today and what you should be thinking about as an agency. And then the other questions, the bulk of the other questions were really more this stuff, right? Product specific, billing, access, support type of stuff that you guys can get from the support teams, okay? But there are a couple of questions. So Rob, I'm going to give you this one. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I had a hotel marketing agency. Any ideas how to help them? Al.
Good, Bennett. Thanks for that, Joe. Throw me a nice easy one to start with.
A swing and a miss. No, I'm sure you'll knock it out.
Okay, so hotels today are in serious trouble. There is not a damn thing they can do. So all you can do with them for now, well, one thing you might want to think about doing with them right now is some reputation work.
Yep.
Depending how they are handling their current downturn and having if they're closing or they're turning clients away, um, they may be having a load of reputational damage right now. So that's one thing you can think about doing. You could think about doing social posting for them. This is something we've been looking at today. So help them out with social posting. Hey, this is where we are today. We're closed for this, this, and this. Plan them a reopening social campaign. Plan them a reopening email campaign, a retargeting campaign for reopening. You get the idea. They can't stay closed forever.
Nope.
So if you start planning for reopening and get it all signed up and done now and ready to go, then when it happens, it's not in a rush. It's just nice, comfortable work. You could probably do it at a discount right now because you're less busy and they're not quite ready for it. So you can even do the work now and get them to pay you in 90 days or whatever. So that's kind of what I would start with for that, if that helps.
Yeah, I thought about the review angle right away. Definitely something I think hotels are getting hit hard right now. And being proactive, running a retargeting campaign, I think would be, or I'm sorry, running a review campaign would be great, and position them in a place of power on reopening. I love what you said, Rob, about the reopening campaigns too for social and for ads. And who's to say that you couldn't get paid today? A little different angle to create these campaigns, but not necessarily turn them on. Right? Social posting you brought up.
Yeah, do the preparation now. So let's get it all signed off and done and ready to go. And all we need to do is slot in the dates nearer the time.
Exactly. And then SEO, right? There's probably a 95% chance that they aren't positioned as well as they could be for SEO. So while everybody's taking the foot off the gas, we're gonna hammer down on SEO as well for you.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add a couple of comments that have come in the chat. Two very similar, one from Vincent and one from Jeff. Vincent says some friends that he has own a hotel and they're using it. They're offering the rooms to health service staff in the UK who are needing rooms because they can't go home because they're working lots and they may be at risk. So they're getting free beds. Somebody else saying it's being used to house quarantine people. Now, if you put the right angle on that, whilst that's incredibly generous and kind thing to do in the short term, reputationally, it's a very good thing to do for the long term. They will get so much goodwill from that, and asking for a review for somebody who's been provided with a bed free of charge, that's an amazing thing.
I see somebody in here asking for help with product access. Again, guys, support info is right here. If you just bought Dental Smart Pages, you need product access, I'll paste it in the chat. Now is not the time, obviously, for that. This is a one-to-many call, right? Not a one-on-one call. Let's see, dental here. So Eric had a question about dental. He says, our family dentist will only see us in an emergency, otherwise the office is closed. So that's not a problem, right? So reach out to them and ask them if they want more emergency cases, right? Onboard them with Invisible PPC and let's run an emergency only based campaign if he's wanting more business. If he's not wanting more business, right, use the COVID-19 survival guide, right, and outreach to him and help him. I guarantee that there's a 99% chance that all the stuff in the survival guide he isn't doing. Ask if he would like help virtually. You don't need to be in person doing it, right? And then start planning the reopening campaign. What are you going to do to get yourself out of the hole that COVID-19 has put you in? So this is an easy one for me, Eric, man. All right, perfect, fantastic, good stuff. So Andrea says, is the survival guide available somewhere? Andrea, it was just in the dental PPC bundle, PPC profits bundle that we were promoting for, I don't know, the last 10 days, 7 days straight, 9 days straight, something like that. If you go look at the, actually the replay page is redirected. I can show it to you guys real quick.
While you do that, I'll just spread a little positivity.
What it looks like.
While you're finding the video, while I've been on this call, so like most people, I have two screens open. And one of the screens that I tend to keep open is one of our payment processing accounts, just because I like to see what the cash is doing during the course of a day. I'm a former accountant, so I guess that stuff matters to me. While we've been on this call, so we've been here an hour and 15 minutes. 2 agencies have onboarded new clients. Now, who'd have thought that? And one of them, I know both of them actually. One of them only deals with dentists. And he's onboarded one while we've been on this call. The other one tends to deal, I think, with lawyers. So they've come on as well. So there are 2 agencies out there right now who are prospecting and who are winning clients.
So this is the survival guide that I've been talking about, guys. Again, for perspective, this was a bonus in the PPC Profits bundle promotion that we just ran. As long as you're on Invisible PPC's list, you should have seen that promotion. For respect of the buyers of that program, I'm going to make my little demo here very quickly. And I'm sorry if you want more. I just can't do it in respect for everybody that did enroll and got this bonus, right? So essentially, it's a survival guide positioned to make you an expert in dental during COVID-19. So it talks about activities to do while you're closed, right? And shows you how. It talks about Google Ads and the changes you should be doing, and helps you prospect for Google Ads using a bunch of the kind of crazy data that we have on Google Ads, all the while making call to actions to contact you for help doing these things, and then gives sample messages for Facebook, email, Instagram, and SMS. And then the next part goes into getting ready to reopen and things that they should be doing. And then finally gives them a checklist, and then has a call to action, right, to book a strategy session with our agency that's using the survival guide. So hopefully that helps. So you could definitely recreate something just like this, obviously, for your agency, and would definitely recommend that you do. Rob, you see any other questions coming into the chat that we can address before we sign off here? Hey, Jesse, we're not selling the guide alone.
Sorry, the only one I've seen is can we still buy the bundle? Is the only thing I've seen coming in.
Just privately, guys, if you want the bundle, contact support, and if we can, we'll get you in right away. Bundle is closed, and the training, the 4-week masterclass, is starting tomorrow. So I'd make an exception for some of you guys if you're ready to get in right away. But the thing is I want you in before tomorrow, before we start running the webinars, right? I don't want you guys on the fence, right, and getting behind before you ever got started. That's not a good look for me. That's not a good look for you. That's not going to do anybody any service. So if that's of interest, guys, just email the link in the chat and ask if you can still get in on the. I'll just put in a message here for you guys that you guys can copy and paste to support. There you go. So the support email's there, and then also just a message that you can copy and paste in there, and we'll try to help you guys out ASAP. Again, if you guys do come in, we just want you in before we start the masterclass, right? Don't want you getting behind from the very get-go. All right, so since we covered all the questions, just in closing, if this was good, if you guys got value out of this, as this has changed your mindset around COVID-19 and what is happening, if this puts you in a new direction, if this has excited you or reinvigorated you in the chat, please do me a favor and Rob a favor and just let us know, right? Obviously, we do this just to help you guys, to serve you guys, and obviously there's no link to buy anything in here, right? Like, this is just free, and we're just here to provide value for you guys. So any little words of wisdom, comments, thoughts would be greatly appreciated in the chat. Rob, any last and final thoughts before we sign off here?
For me, no. My last comment really is reiterate what we said at the start. How you react and how you come out of this situation is entirely on what you do, what you think, and the actions that you take. So please be aware of that when you make the choices you make every day of the week, and do the right things. It will come back to you, I promise.
Yep, good stuff. All right, guys, get out there, help people first, and it'll come back and help you 10x. Have a freaking fantastic week. Thanks so much for hanging out the last hour and 20 minutes. We'll talk to you guys soon, all right? Joe Troyer and Rob Warner signing out, and be on the lookout. We got some crazy stuff right around the corner. See you guys.
See you guys. Take care. Bye.